Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse. This is a Wednesday episode, and the Cryptoverse is your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. My name is Chris Coney, I am the host of the Cryptoverse and the founder of cryptoversity.com, which is the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. You can find out more at cryptoversity.com. If you pop over to the podcast page, you can subscribe to the Cryptoverse and have it fed to you every day on whichever your favorite platform is, whether that be iTunes, whether that be Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, or Steemit. And in order to support the Cryptoverse, please click through to Steemit and vote for this episode, or support us directly by making a contribution using the Bitcoin address on that page. Let's take a look at the markets today. We've got a few things looking here. The trend between the two Ethereums continues. Ethereum Core is up 7%, which is a lot for a $1 billion blockchain. And Ethereum Core is down by about 6.9%, near enough the same. So the gap widens. Ethereum Core has an overall market cap of $1.016 billion. Ethereum Classic, $156 million. So that gap ever widens. Also, what do we see here? We have Steam has lost more of its market cap again, 9% down today, which is strange because a lot of the Steam issues have been resolved now. Excuse me. There was a couple of security issues and so on, and you thought the price would have really tanked back then, but Steam was hit a top market cap was like 330 million, I think, something like that, and then it's kind of been trending down the last few days. Not good to see. Let's see what else we've got here. There's an enormous gain, like the biggest one I've ever seen. Swisscoin has gained, are you ready for it? 1,068% of its value in 24 hours. Now the problem with that kind of a gain is that anyone who held Swisscoins has just made a return on investment of 1,068%. Now that could be a bug, but straight away, I don't think any trader could resist selling after that kind of a jump. So a Swiss coin is now worth $31. Now I can't say I'm well versed in the ways of Swiss coin, so let me just take a quick look through their website and see what they describe themselves as. So Swiss coin, it says cryptocurrency, a new generation of payment network. So it might, like Bitcoin, it probably does more than payment network, but they are competing with a lot of other cryptos if that is their primary value proposition. So as we scroll down, what do we see here? A whole bunch of flags, which I assume are currencies that they interface with. Free sign up, activation of account, upgradation of the account. Blah, blah, blah. This is terrible. There's lots of graphics and stuff, but it's not clear. Compensation plan. This looks interesting. So, this is a PDF file. The new generation of cryptocurrency, centralized, it says, Swiss coin. Is it Swiss as in Switzerland? I'm going to have to look through this PDF later on, but it's not immediately obvious to me how this is a humdinger, groundbreaking cryptocurrency. Yes. Oops. So back to CoinMarketCap. Anyone else want to impress me today? Factom is up another 16%. Had a double-digit gain yesterday. And that's going to do it for the market roundup, I think. I definitely need to look into that Swiss coin just to see. It may be here today, gone tomorrow in terms of the price, but it's now the ninth most capitalized coin, and it's bumped MadeSafe down to number 10, and it's bumped NXT out of the top 10, which is usually a mainstay. So you usually see that, right? The top 10 are usually pretty solid, with the odd one that jumps in like Ethereum Classic. But Swisscoin has kind of come out of nowhere a little bit. Right, looking at the Bitcoin price charts, I think the price movement is pretty much halted for now. The last 3 to 4 days, it's sort of been going sideways. So we've been approaching the £600 price mark. £600, I mean $600. $600 price mark, and then that's sort of where we've stopped. The current price is $585. So it's going to take a bit of a push to go back up above 600. Let's go over to the news, shall we? So in the news, we have an article from the Cointelegraph, and this is more of a general article, and it's from the author's name. It says guest author, which I don't think that's the guy's name or the lady's name. I say guy because there's a photo of a fellow. And this was an article from the 8th of August, but it's more of an evergreen one. It's entitled From Dell to Rakuten, 10 most popular vendors that accept Bitcoin. So let's see what we've got here. Bitcoin remains the most widely used cryptocurrency. So for many online vendors, it's a good alternative to the US dollar. Microsoft, CheapAir, and other big retail names have already jumped on the Bitcoin bandwagon, with many more to follow. To be fair, most Bitcoin accepting vendors don't accept Bitcoin directly. They worked through commissioned intermediaries such as Painium and Coinbase to immediately convert Bitcoin receipts to fiat currency, usually US dollars. They're not in the business of holding Bitcoin long term, and most appear to be leery of Bitcoin's historical volatility. Still, they recognize that the growing numbers of Bitcoin consumers see Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as viable alternatives to fiat currency, and they're willing to pay intermediary commissions to accommodate them. With that in mind, here's a look at our top 10 vendors based on size, user friendliness, and lowest cost, if any, to the customer, those who accept Bitcoin payments. So number 1 is Microsoft. When Microsoft announced that it would start accepting Bitcoin, the currency's proponents rejoiced. Here was one of the world's biggest tech companies, one of its biggest companies, period, or one of the biggest companies, period, embracing the future of digital commerce. Aside from a brief scare in early 2016, when Microsoft erroneously announced it would no longer be accepting Bitcoin and was later forced to apologize per TechCrunch, it has been smooth sailing ever since. You can add Bitcoin directly to your Microsoft online account. From there, you're permitted to purchase pretty much any digital products and content offered by Microsoft, including Windows apps and games, Xbox music and games, Windows phone products, and so on. Microsoft doesn't yet allow Bitcoin for in-person or physical product purchases, such as, say, new hardware and hard copies of Microsoft software, though that may change in the future. The second one is Dell. Former and maybe current arch rivals Dell and Microsoft don't see eye to eye on much, but they're both enthusiastically embracing Bitcoin. You can use Bitcoin to purchase almost anything at Dell.com, including physical products. If you have a Coinbase account, you can send payments directly to Dell from there and avoid the minus fee, well under 1% of the transaction. Otherwise, you can pay with your Bitcoin wallet or scan the product's QR code with your smartphone and follow the prompts. The third one is Expedia. Expedia accepts Bitcoin payments through Coinbase. Paying for travel with Bitcoin is just as easy as using a credit or debit card, though non-Coinbase users do have to accept the small minus fee. You can avoid this by creating a Coinbase account, which is a very handy thing to have anyway. Coinbase users can also take advantage of Expedia's cancellation and refund policies. For non-Coinbase users, all transactions are final. Notably, refunds are issued in US dollars at the Bitcoin dollar conversion rates in play at the time, so it's possible to make or lose in terms of dollars on refunds. That's a good point, isn't it? So if you paid an amount, 500 US dollars, and it ended up being one Bitcoin, and then the price of Bitcoin goes down and you get a refund, you might only get refunded $450, but technically it would still be one Bitcoin that you got a refund for. You know what I'm saying? So that's interesting, isn't it? Let's see what else we've got here. Do you notice the dynamic though is shifting? This is what's fundamentally different about paying with Bitcoin versus a credit card is that all the consumers have gotten used to the notion of the vendor or the merchant paying the fee. I would argue that most consumers don't even realize that retailers get charged for processing cards. Unless it's one of those that passes the fee on and says, if you want to pay with a credit card, it's an extra 3%. And people say, why is that? I said, well, because there's the charges. But other than that, I don't think consumers would ever become aware of the fact that credit cards cost money to process. So then when Bitcoin comes along and it puts the fee on the buyer, so you have to pay the mining fee or the transaction fee, that I don't know how people feel about that, to be honest, but it's kind of nothing you do about it. It's built into the technology. So the fourth vendor is Overstock.com. Overstock deserves special mention and kudos for its early embrace of Bitcoin. Back in 2014, the online retail giant became the first major e-commerce vendor to jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon. The company's CEO is an outspoken advocate of Bitcoin and of reducing the influence of central governments and monetary authorities in general. In fact, under his direction, Overstock has put its money where its mouth is. The company is one of the few major vendors that holds a substantial amount of its Bitcoin receipts in Bitcoin rather than converting them to fiat currency. That's an implicit and encouraging bet on Bitcoin's long-term future. So let's move on to number 5, which is Newegg. Newegg, an online retailer who specializes in personal electronics and computing equipment, is another big Bitcoin believer. Though its 10% discount offered to users who pay in Bitcoin has expired, Newegg continues to promote Bitcoin as a payment method. If your digital wallet is stored on your desktop, laptop, or mobile device, you can simply click on the Pay with Bitcoin button and complete your purchase in a few clicks. Alternatively, you can scan your QR card with your smartphone or click the View Address button to access cloud-based digital wallets. Note that you can't buy gift cards, marketplace items, subscriptions, pre-orders, memberships, and other certain items with Bitcoin, though you can receive full refunds, subject to Newegg's return policy, in-store credit. Number 6 is Dish Network. Dish Network has been accepting Bitcoin payments for its satellite TV and content services since mid-2014. The company appears to be genuinely supporting Bitcoin's mission. It ran a heartwarming feature on the first Dish customers to pay their bills with Bitcoin and host a nice, novice-friendly tip sheet for first-time users. Like many vendors, Dish uses Coinbase to accept payments. So if you're a Dish customer, it's worth creating a Coinbase account if you haven't already. The 7th vendor is Rakuten. Online retailer giant Rakuten is an enthusiastic Bitcoin booster. Back in 2015, it ran an eye-popping discount for Bitcoin users, 30% off anything on the site. Unfortunately, that deal appears to have been gone for the time being, but Rakuten made waves this July when it announced its intent to purchase Bitnet, its preferred Bitcoin payment processor. And it says Cointelegraph wrote about the news here, and links to the article. The deal is still under negotiation, and its precise implications remain unclear. However, it's rumored that Rakuten could use Bitnet's assets to launch an innovative blockchain-based loyalty program, a first in the online retail world. In other words, even if Rakuten doesn't revive that awesome 30% discount for Bitcoin users, its loyal Bitcoin customers may nevertheless have something to smile about soon. Number 8 is Tiger Direct. Tiger Direct is another online electronics retailer who appeared to have gone all in on Bitcoin, and that bet appears to have paid off many times over. Though the first 18 months of Bitcoin acceptance, nearly half of all Bitcoin using Tiger Direct customers were first-timers, according to Bitcoin Magazine. With an extensive Bitcoin help section, Tiger Direct is among the friendliest for Bitcoin novices. You have 3 options to pay with Bitcoin. Click the Pay with Bitcoin button and follow the prompts. Scan the QR code with your smartphone to pay directly with a smartphone wallet, or click View Address and copy and paste the URL into your desktop wallet. All Bitcoin payments run through BitPay. Notably, Tiger Direct allows partial Bitcoin payments when you don't have enough Bitcoin to complete a full transaction. You can make up any difference via PayPal, credit or debit card, or any other Tiger Direct accepted payment. Though Bitcoin transactions are final, Tiger Direct does offer refunds, subject to its return policy, in dollar-denominated gift cards. Number 9 is CheapAir. Not a fan of Expedia, or just want to keep your travel booking options open? CheapAir is among the internet's most Bitcoin-friendly travel booking portals, and the first portal to adopt Bitcoin back in late of 2013. As an early adopter, CheapAir quickly became a favorite of Bitcoin enthusiasts, notching some $1.5 million in Bitcoin bookings in the first 7 months, according to a company press release. Today it actually goes a couple of steps further by accepting Litecoin and Dogecoin as well. CheapAir's Bitcoin payment process is seamless and straightforward. Literally 2 clicks and you're done. Payments are funneled through Coinbase. Fees are far lower than those associated with PayPal, which CheapAir also accepts. And number 10 is the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings play in one of the United States' smallest professional sports markets, and they consistently dwell at the bottom of the NBA standings. There's always next year. But back in 2014, they did notch a notable first when they became the first US sports club to accept Bitcoin. According to ESPN, the Kings' embrace of Bitcoin was at least partially driven by necessity. And there's a quote, "I sold the NBA on keeping the team in Sacramento. My pitch included using the sports franchise as a social network to push the technology envelope." And that was said by Kings majority owner Vivek Ranadive. Accepting Bitcoin is an example of that, he said. Ranadive's ultimate goal is ticketless, cashless environment at games, a major convenience for fans who don't want to bring their wallets to games. His example appears to be catching on with other sports teams as well. A few months after the Kings' announcement, Major League Soccer's San Jose Earthquakes announced they'd accept Bitcoin as well. So final thoughts. It's fair to say that Bitcoin has not lived up to the rosy predictions of its most dedicated boosters. Any impartial observer would agree that Bitcoin has suffered some temporary setbacks on the winding path it has taken to get where it is today. No doubt further setbacks lie ahead. But Bitcoin's emergence and rise have nonetheless been impressive. Even if the early years haven't been as smooth as proponents would like, Bitcoin's continued existence, and is indicated by a growing number of major vendors that accept Bitcoin, momentum, is evidence of real hunger for an alternative to a government-controlled fiat currency whose value turned on bureaucratic whims. That's why it's not at all controversial to predict that in the months and years to come, more online vendors will step up and begin accepting Bitcoin. Stay tuned for our next top 10 Bitcoin vendors list. It says this article was brought to you by Money Crashers, a website educating individuals on how to better manage their money and build wealth. Learn more about topics like budgeting, investing, smart shopping, credit cards, and debt on moneycrashers.com. And it was written actually by Brad Panell. Jolly good. And there's only one comment that says, "What is your best recommendation for a listing of vendors that accepts the Bitcoin today?" Well, there's all kinds of directories and stuff, isn't there, where you can find vendors. I suppose the ultimate thing would be for all the online retailers to set up a store on Open Bazaar. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? Alrighty then, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Cryptoverse with me, Chris Coney. I'd like to thank you for listening today. Please go to the podcast page on Cryptoversity and subscribe yourself on any of your favorite platforms. Please also go through to Steam it and vote for this episode, or make a contribution directly by using the Bitcoin address to send us a tip from that page. Remember to check out the main site, which is cryptoversity.com, the online school where you set the price to learn about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and blockchains. All right, my name is Chris Coney. I've enjoyed listening. I've enjoyed talking to you today. And until tomorrow, it's bye for now.